Psychology is shaping your thoughts, your emotions, and your relationships, whether you realize it or not. As PhDs in psychology, partners in marriage, and the voices behind Two Shrinks and a Drink, we're here to help you see it and use it. So grab something good to drink and let's dive in. So, Tom, our very first topic is going to be based on a personal situation that happened maybe about 4 weeks ago. We were having a conversation as we enjoyed our espresso, and I asked you if you were happy. Do you remember that conversation?
No,
You do. You don't wanna talk
I
about
think
it.
no is the better answer here.
When I asked you if you were happy, because I certainly had a sense that you weren't, your response was very honest, and your response was, "I'm happy enough." And honestly, it resulted in me tearing up, which is not uncommon, and having a very sad emotional response because happy enough didn't sound good enough to me. It wasn't what I wanted for you. So, what was that like for you? First of all, for me to ask you that question, are you happy?
It's a challenge question because happiness changes moment by moment and certainly by degrees. And sometimes, in my perspective, you can be happy where it's at that level of contentment, satisfaction, comfort, where it may not be quite the whirlwind of ecstasy
Hmm.
that I don't think any of us can live in for long periods of time. So happy enough was honesty.
No, I got it was honest, and I appreciate the honesty, but I can't think that there's really anybody out there who's super excited to hear their partner is happy enough. And I will qualify it. I did know that it wasn't because of us or you weren't happy with me or it was our relationship. I did have that security, but to know the person I love most in this world wasn't happy, that felt like something I needed to fix.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't fix someone else's happy or their level of happy. And I think you took it as happy enough, meaning actually not happy. The answer started with happy. I'm happy enough at this moment. So my perspective in it was, and I'm glad that you made the assumption that it wasn't about you because it wasn't. It was just a number of things going on in life that were creating clutter. And so happy enough was that place of, oh, it's okay to be content and possibly in a bit of a comfort zone for now, that at that moment anyway. But that wasn't going to be necessary to always be at that level where happy goes way beyond that.
Hmm. What I think could also be translated is, can happy enough be I think you said contentment, and I'm not opposed to contentment, but happy enough could also become a permanent place where someone gets stuck in being happy enough instead of seeing it as an opportunity to then launch to try and make improvements. Or do you think that's an okay place to stay? Happy enough.
I don't think it's an okay place to stay. Just as I talk with my clients, that comfort zones feel great and they're comfortable and they're wonderful in that perspective. But if you live in a comfort zone, you never grow. So happy enough for a short period of time while you regroup, replan, make some decisions on what steps you're going to take next, I think is a viable landing spot, which beats the hell out of depressed, sad, miserable.
But can that, I mean, if you stay in quote unquote happy enough, could it become depression? Could it become just a permanent state where it's just shy of happy?
I think that we don't stay in states, so to speak, that we're fluctuating and moving through different states, happiness or otherwise. Um, and if we aren't mindful of the progression that we're on, the path that we're on, then we can end up in a place of depression when we sat in happy enough for too long and then started paying too much attention to the negativity or some of the challenges
Mm.
that we're facing. So it's important to, I think, to recognize, and it was a great question for me to then start thinking about what does happy enough actually mean? And do I want to stay here in that state? Or do I want to make some change in my life or what I'm doing or how I'm thinking that's going to allow me to move from happy enough back to happier or generally just happy?
Hmm, okay. So when we work with clients, I mean, these types of topics come up, progressing from nervousness to anxiety. How do we get it back to nervousness to then get it back to neither of them? And if it's happy enough, how do we progress to happiness? And what are the red flags that we might be in a state, a place that we don't want to stay in? So thinking about what we might tell our clients, one thing that I would certainly, actually, I think I asked you whether some of the strategies you share with clients you were doing for yourself, because I can certainly say for me, sometimes I forget to do the habits and the
Mm,
strategies that I suggest to clients.
such a wonderful challenge.
It
Are
is,
you
yeah.
actually listening to yourself and doing your stuff?
Doctor Heal Thyself, exactly. So I know for me, one strategy that I use regularly, I can't say every day, I'd love to do it every day. It's my goal to do it every morning, is to wake up, and before I actually get out of bed is to remind myself of joys from the day before. And keeping the list short so it's not cumbersome, but reminding myself of things that made me happy, even if it was for just 30 seconds, 3 seconds from the day before. That's one thing that I know helps me. What was something that you had to remind yourself to do, or that you were doing to help pull yourself from happy enough closer to happy?
One of the things that I joke with, comment to, or um, discuss with my clients is that once we start doing things that make us feel better, once we feel better, we very quickly stop doing those things.
Right, right.
So it was a great reminder that I had fallen away from doing the things that resulted in more happiness for me. And a very simple strategy I do with or suggest to almost all my clients is start off every day with gratitudes, which is, I think is what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Taking that few moments to be grateful about something in your life. And what I recommend is first thing in the morning before you even get out of bed to pee, you come up with 3 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah,
And
but you and I both know I cut you off. I'm gonna go ahead anyway. So the thing that what we do know is that people will talk about doing gratitudes, but they also stop because it gets boring. And what I've seen in my work is that it gets boring because they do the same damn list every morning. I'm grateful for my spouse. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for my dog. And our brain just is like, yeah, yeah, same thing, different day. So I know what I suggest to clients. How do you tell clients or suggest to clients that they break that boredom pattern when they're doing their gratitudes in the morning?
one of the ways that I suggest that they break it is by requiring of themselves that their gratitudes cover different topics and different categories. I remember one of my regular gratitudes when we lived in Maine was, "Oh, this bed is so warm. It feels so good.
I don't want to get
I
out.
don't wanna get out." And that was a regular gratitude. But then forcing myself to come up with 2 more that were not the same as usual. And I also encourage clients to come up with 1 or 2 of those other gratitudes that are something specifically about themselves.
Hmm,
I'm grateful that I have this ability to do, or I'm grateful that my mind generally cooperates with me. But something about yourself you're grateful for. And that keeps it a little bit fresher for them. But I do agree with you. If you just settle on the same 3 gratitudes every day, well, what's the point?
right.
Your brain already has those. So that's one side of the exercise, first thing in the morning. Then the other one is the last thing at night to come up with 3 things that they consider successes for the day. And we're not talking about world peace or solving world hunger. Just anything they did during that day, like honestly answering your question that started this whole podcast. Um, that's a success, just being honest with your partner. So at the end of the day, you're bookending your day by looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I did well at that. And some days it's bigger things, other days it's smaller things. But by doing it first thing in the morning with gratitudes, last thing at night with successes, we're telling our subconscious brain that that's how we want to start entering our sleep cycle and coming out of our sleep cycles. And by the way, it starts to creep into the day where we see things a little bit prettier, a little bit nicer, or we just realize and pat ourselves on the back more often. Instead of just seeing our faults, we're seeing our successes.
Thank you for that TED Talk, Dr. Tom. Appreciated that. It was really good. One of the One of the things that I also
All right.
suggest, you see how this is gonna go?
Less verbose. Got it.
Well, one of the things, and I do appreciate that. I love that spin on, specific to yourself, but I also suggest to clients to be really specific. So it's not that you are grateful for your spouse. It's what exactly are you grateful about your spouse from the day before? So as an example, it's not me waking up this morning saying I'm grateful for you, which I am. But I said in my thoughts this morning, I am grateful for a partner who knows how I love my espresso and will heat up my cup every single time simply because he knows I like it. That's really specific. It's something that my frontal lobe like held on to and could picture it so clearly. And when we can be more specific, you and I both know that our brain eats that stuff up. Like it loves the details. And that's what makes it change each day because of the specificity. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it's a good addition. And as we think about, or I think about now what I'm grateful for at this moment,
Say me, say me.
well, in part it is. It's the
In
drive
part.
that has created
Mhm.
this situation that has me sitting in front of cameras because we know I love
You
to sit in front of
do,
cameras and
you
microphones.
do.
Um, so we'll see how this plays out. By the way, this is the first episode, so you guys get to tell us how it plays out.
Yeah, and give him a lot of grace. Or me, either way.
Apparently, I need more grace.
But I also wanted to bring up, one other aspect of this because it actually dovetailed at really, at the same time for in our lives, was when I asked you that question about happy enough, we also got into a conversation with one of our kinda tangential friends in the community, and I'm referencing Kevin. Kevin is gosh, he's a renaissance man. He takes care of everything for everyone. And what I love most about Kevin is he is the happiest person I have ever met consistently. And so I asked him one day recently, "How are you so happy all the time?"
I think actually you asked him with me there
Mhm.
the very next day.
Yeah,
We
probably.
happened
Had nothing to do with you.
I think it might have had something to do with me.
Yeah, and I remember he referenced a book that you purchased right away. I don't remember the title of it.
Yeah, the title is The Happiness Advantage.
Okay, okay. And what were your takeaways from it? Because I haven't read it yet, but I know you did.
I did read through the whole book, particularly because I was recognizing that I was getting stuck, in that comfort zone or in that complacent, happy enough place. So in reading through the book, one of the things I liked about the book a lot was that it's heavily researched and pulls up a lot of interesting peer-reviewed studies in psychology. Not gonna do another TED Talk, promise.
Read my mind.
That allowed me to see that this is not just another touchy-feely, written by somebody who really doesn't understand psychology kind of book. It brought in enough background information and enough studies to clearly illustrate that we choose happiness.
Mhm.
Either we choose it or we don't, but if we don't choose it, we're not gonna be happy.
And you and I both know it's one of the tenets of cognitive behavioral methodology, which is what we were trained in, that emotions are choices. And you demonstrated that after I asked you that question, and you made a conscious choice to start putting back things into your life that bring you happiness that you had stopped doing and making a concerted effort. It still doesn't mean that you are happy all the time. It doesn't mean that that is a state place for you right now because we're all human and we go through, you know, ebbs and flows of happiness. But you are making more efforts to stay closer to a full happiness rather than happy enough. It's not a flaw when we don't do that. You and I both know that. I'm not judging you. I just worry about you.
Sounds like you're judging a little
No,
bit.
not at all. But I appreciate that when people make the choice of how do we want to feel, then we can feel that way. And Kevin's a great example of that. That man, oh my goodness, he really is the happiest man I know, and definitely someone that that I would emulate.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and Kevin, if you ever listen to this podcast, thank you. The wave you have every day when we see you is just wonderful, and I always appreciate it, so please
It's a little boy wave, full
don't
arm,
don't
full smile.
ever stop doing that.
Yeah, it's
Thank you,
great.
Kevin.
It's great. So I think for our first episode and for any of you listening, it's important to remember that we can choose how we want to feel. And happiness is one of those emotions that we can choose. But it also doesn't mean that we have to be happy all the time, that we can have the whole kaleidoscope of human emotions. It just depends where it best serves us. So if you're happy enough, that's an okay place to stay for a little while. And hopefully you get to a place where you can build on that until you actually are happy, like my husband's going to be or is. So please keep in mind that if anything landed for you today, apply it to your life because insight is great, but it really doesn't mean anything unless you actually apply it. We look forward to seeing you next time on Two Shrinks and a Drink. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.